Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I've explained before that originally my bonsai videos were posted on my Orchid channel, so there was only one channel. Now that I've got a separate bonsai channel, I'm in the process of occasionally bringing across a video from the original Orchid channel onto the bonsai channel. That's what this video is. So this video was actually filmed in 2017, and I'm trying to build a playlist which is the story of this Scots pine collected from a track in a forest that was getting bashed around by the forest vehicles. Forester's trailer was knocking the thing, it was hanging over the track, and that's what did the original damage on it. And so it was a Yamadori collected tree, and I neglected it for a while. So I had it for a while. This is the video that shows me taking an interest in the tree again for the first time in quite a few years. So at this point it looks more like a tree that's just been collected rather than one that's supposed to be a bonsai. But this was the initial work, filmed in my old house where I used to work on the dining room table. So this is what this tree looked like when I first started thinking about taking care of my bonsai again, and it still didn't really take off until last year, when I decided, look, if we're going to have bonsai trees, it's better to do a bit of work on them now and again and try and at least keep them tidy. And so that's what this video is, filmed in 2017 in April, where I decided to start doing a bit of work on it. At the end of this video I'll put a link to the latest video of this tree so that you can see a direct comparison of what it looked like in 2017 and what it looks like now. Okay, hope you enjoy it. Thanks for dropping by. Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Today I'm going to have a go at an initial pruning of this Scots pine. This was a collected tree, a rescue tree basically. It was on the side of a track and it was getting knocked about by the forest vehicles as they were going past, which effectively damaged the tree, but I saw it as a feature rather than damage. So I asked if it was okay to just pull that tree out the ground, which I was said, yeah, it's in the way, mate. So out of the ground it came. It had virtually no roots on it where it was, but it got potted up. It's since produced a reasonable root system, but these type of pines are not very vigorous, and they only have one flush of buds in the spring. Now that's your lot. You very rarely get any more buds that year, but what you can do is induce buds by taking the lead off of branches. And the idea with a pine is to spread the energy much more evenly, so where you get strong branches you take them back and basically that energy will then be pushed into weaker branches, weaker growing tips. This has been a bit neglected. It's lost some of its shape. I want to get some of that shape back now, and in doing so actually try and put some strength into the weaker parts of the tree. We'll see how we go. I mean, in bonsai terms this is a shari. It's a natural feature on a lot of pines growing, hanging out the rocks on mountainsides and everything. I'll go into that in a bit, but first of all I want to tidy the branches and try and get some shape back into it. It isn't a bad tree, quite honestly, but it could be an awful lot better, and I'm going to try and improve it by some quite gentle pruning. I can't go mad with this, but sometimes, like if you take quite a vigorous shoot like this, if you take it back, where you take it back, it will produce some side buds. That's what I'm hoping to do in places, but you can see the buds are just starting to move now, so now's a good time to do it. I'm probably not going to actually repot it today, although it desperately needs it. The roots have become so dense it's lifting the tree out of the pot. You can see the gap. This media was down level with the top of the pot, or slightly less, and it's climbing. The root ball is so intense under there that it's pushing the tree out of the pot, which means most of the roots are probably around the outside and at the bottom of the pot. Probably not even in any media, so I need to get at that, but probably not today. So I'll set the tripod up and we'll have a go. Paraphernalia, I've got my normal pruning scissors and one of my bonsai cutters being sterilised now. I still sterilise my tools even for trees. I've got my coffee, it's quite early in the day, and that I'll explain later. Not supposed to have that really. Get caught with that, I could get shot. But I know somebody who's prepared, they can buy it because they're trade, and they're not supposed to sell it, but it's a friend, and they put some in a little bottle for me and I keep it hidden away. It's actually pure sulfur, if you want to know what it is, and I'll explain what I'm going to do with that in a minute. I shouldn't be working with that indoors really. Work in a well ventilated area, it says, outside preferably. Anyway, I'll set the tripod up and we'll have a go. Okay, I'll try not to get in the way of the tripod. I need to get my coffee out of the way. I'll get pine needles in my coffee. Now what I'm looking for first is what's called negative space. It's the spaces that enhance the branch pads, and there's a negative space here that's been totally lost by this branch because it's filling it, and quite honestly it's just not wanted, so that one's coming off completely. I think I might even take that whole thing off. No, I'm just going to reduce it, and just hopefully that's a dead bit. That bit's facing the wrong way, and those branches are weak, so I'm not going to trim them. The actual little tiny branches I'm not going to trim. Now, although that's got a nice bud on it, it's hanging down too low, so we'll take that one off. Now this is not a strong branch, but something's in my way here with the negative space, and it's this branch here is hanging down from where? It's actually quite a thick branch, we'll use the bigger cutters for that. I need to take that one right off. Now can I see through? The idea is to be able to, although this is a single branch, it's been naturally split into two by raising this bit to create a separate part of the tree, but this bit is growing into it, losing the space between the two. So somehow or other I've got to try and recover that space, and that is going to mean taking a reasonable bit off. I hate to do it, but that bit's got to come off. Yeah, you just have to hope that it backbuds. Now, taking that branch in turn, I have a very vigorous growth here. That needs to be stopped dead in its tracks, and I'm actually going to take that, and there's a little side branch there, I'm going to take it back to that point. Now I can start to see through. There's a dead bit there, and there. Now my gap's coming back. Now all I've got to do on this branch now is look for the most vigorous parts of it and take them back, and that way the energy will go into these weaker branches. They've got buds, and if they get some energy behind them they will shoot out. That's pointing in the wrong direction, so we'll snip that one and hope it buds. Do I really want as much of that pointing backwards? No. Take that one off too. And that's better. And although I'm reducing the size of this, I'm hoping to rejuvenate it. So what's left that's vigorous, that bit, that can come off. When you prune pine trees, You need long pointy scissors to get in and try and trim the branch without cutting any needles. If you trim needles, they go brown and they look flipping horrible. So you just try to avoid cutting any needles. You just go in and snip the branch, leaving the needles around it. And that's the only vigorous one left. We'll take that back. That's about as much as I know. What about that bit sticking out the back? That's not going to bud, unfortunately. But I might be able to get it to back bud by taking the tip off. If I can get just one or two little side branches on there, that branch can stay. Otherwise it's going to have to come off later. Right, not going to do any more to that branch. Now we move on to this one. Now this is a more vigorous branch. It's still part of this main branch, but because it's the higher part, it gets more light. Because it gets more light, it's stronger. If you think about a deciduous tree, you look at the leaves. Well, on a pine, you look at the needles. It's the needles that photosynthesize. The more needles there are on an individual branch, the stronger it is. Now, what some people do in a well-defined tree is they go and take some needles off. And some people go to the extent of counting the needles. You know, weak branches you leave, say, a dozen needles. Stronger branches you only leave 6. That way that branch can't photosynthesize as much and some energy goes into the other branches. Now all I've got to do now is clear the top of this bit off, and that will additionally let a bit of light through to here and help that one grow a bit. So it's a matter of picking on the stronger ones near the top and taking them off. Again, every branch must have at least 1 or 2 actual buds growing on it to draw the sap down the branch. If you remove all the buds, the branch could actually die and just keel over. You've got to go careful how much you take off. But I'm going to take off what is the stronger elements of this branch. See, there's a lovely little side branch on there, so I can go back to that and that will now grow. But you don't get many, not on this type of pine. But as I said, you can force them. There's a little bit of grey scale there. I'm going to give this a spray later. Grey scale is an outdoor thing, so I don't worry about the fact that it's in here near my orchids on the grounds that that's where it lives. And it only ever gets on my pines. Pine, singular, sorry. I've only got one now. Keep forgetting one was sold. There's a bit sticking out the back there that's not serving much purpose, but if it branches it will. Okay, now I've got my space between there. It's not clearly defined, but it's not bad. And I've regained my space across the top of that branch. I've left a tip bud there to keep the energy coming right the full length of the branch. Yeah, and I've done the same with this one. That's got 2 lead buds, 3 in fact, so it will still draw sap through. That's about as much as I dare take off of there. Right, now I'm going to turn the tree round so that I can see the back of it. And now that I can see the back of it, I've missed a couple of dead bits on there. They only spoil the look, so they just as well come off. They serve no purpose. Now this back branch is weak, very weak. How much of it can I keep? Again, I want to try and get a separation point here. It's extended too much. This is neglect on my part. There's a lovely pair of buds on that branch, so we'll have those straight away. So that will now hopefully get 2 side branches. But you can see there's an amount of dieback on this branch over and above the whole of the rest of the tree. Well, that just tells me it's a weak branch for whatever reason. So I've got some old needles. The needles fall on these at a given time of year. There's not going to be much left if I take that off. But it's sticking up. Spoils the look. And what's left? I've got to have it. I've got 2 lead buds there on one of the longest branches. Put the dead needles off. They're great if you get them in the carpet because they stick up at an angle, and then when you walk across them on your bare feet they stick right up in your foot and you go ow 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 ow. Now that branch is far too strong, so I'm going to take that one back. That is its main lead, and that's all I can do with that little part, dead bit. And this tiny little branch here, if I take both buds off I'll probably lose it, so I'm going to take one and leave the other one. Right, I need to come back round the front now. I've done as much as I dare with that tiny little part of the tree, but I need that part hanging down because from the front that gives the tree some depth. So let's go round and work on this bit from the front. Or from the side. No, from the front. That might be a little bit, is that out of shot? No, it's still in shot. Jolly good. So now this is a very, very strong part of the tree. That's got to be hit quite hard because it's starting to come across the trunk. Now a little bit of greenery across a trunk or a main sort of structural area is not a bad thing, but the shape of the tree can be lost. That's actually rubbing against the trunk, so that's, but I'm just going to snip it and see if it'll bud, because then it'll grow upwards. I doubt if it will, it's too small. But this bit, this is a strong branch, but it's got a side branch, so I'm going to go back to that. And this one I'm going to have to hit quite hard. I'm going to take the lower bit back. Now that's got two buds on, I only want one, and I'll have the one that's pointing upwards. So you can just bend that off. That's that one done. And what have we got here? Is that a branch? No, dead ones. See that one, last time that was pruned, that split in two. That was good, but it's now too strong, so I'm going to take both of those leads off. And hopefully both of those leads will back bud prior to the fork. I'm going to have to leave that on. I don't want to really, it's too strong. I don't think that bit's going to grow. Right, where are we now? Down here, are you on this branch? Yeah, you are, aren't you? You need going right down. Far too tall. And is that actually serving any purpose? This is in the way. Bull by the horns, take it down. We'll see what that does. Now over here, we've taken that lead off. That one's got a nice side branch, so we can go back to that. Dead needles everywhere. I thought I got rid of all of those before I came indoors. I give it a good shake. And then that one, again, I'll take the risk. Still got at least one lead bud. We'll see what that does. Okay, there's not quite enough space there. I would like more. Now in the old days I'd have wired that. I don't like putting wires on the trees anymore. Right, now we're to the top. And all of this part, let me just raise the camera a fraction, because if I'm working on the top I'll be in the way otherwise. All of this part of the tree I'm going to treat as one, and I want to try and create a dome shape. So again, I'm looking for bits sticking out to regain that shape on the top of the tree. So anything that sticks out a long way or high is coming off, and all of this area is strong. They've all got 1, 2, sometimes 3 buds on them. So I need to take the strength right out of that canopy, push it down into the lower parts of the tree. So let's see what we can do. These are, I want to come down here with a shape. So, and when you're shaping a pine, you have to go back farther than where you want your canopy to be, because obviously by cutting it back you create buds, and then those buds are going to grow, and all they're going to do is fill up the space that you've just removed, which is not what you want. So you have to go back a bit farther and anticipate where it's going to grow. And then we add hopefully on the end, because pines can be damn awkward, and they can just decide that no, I'm not going to produce any buds on that branch, I'm just going to let it keel over. And they will, and then you go damn and blast and things like that. You only really get one go at conifers. If you don't get it somewhere near it, then you lose your chance basically. So that's coming over there okay. Got a lot of crossing branches. A little tiny branch there, which I'm going to keep and take the main one off. Dead bit. That's heading back in towards the centre of the tree, so that's no good. Need everything pointing outwards and upwards as best I can with what's left. Dead bit. Dead bit. Again, that's going up into the centre of the tree, but when that bit comes off, it's not so bad. Risk. Little branch there, little one there, 2 leads. Do I take the whole thing back to there? No. Next time. Just going to take the 2 leads off. And then if it does back bud below that fork there, if it buds below that point, I can then take the fork off. If it doesn't, I've still got something. You can't go too mad, not on conifers. It's relatively slow growing. Now, what have we got up here? Too tall. Take you back. Leave that little one. Again, that's a little sap drawer. Make sure something comes up that little branch. 3 buds on there, see? That's far too strong. So we'll take that one back to there. Oh, we've got a little fir cone up there, just forming. That needs to come off. I know that it's cruel because they do actually look quite pretty, but they will draw all the energy out of that little branch into the cone to try and form some seeds, and that takes the energy out of growing needles. It sort of spoils your chance. Right, so we're coming down. Still don't like that bit. Bull by the horns, sticking up too much. See if we can get that to grow. Right, over here, I don't think that bit's going to grow, but I've got to give it a chance because it's somewhere where I want some growth. I doubt if it will though. Up here, what have we got? Leave that bud, take the main lead back. That will push some energy into the side branch and stop it dead in its tracks. Now what have we got here? We've got a little side branch there, possibly one there, and a very strong forked lead with 4 buds in total. That's too much. Too much! We're getting there. I'm going to push that one. In fact, I'm going to take that off. That's my negative space spoiler. I knew there was something wrong just there. So we're coming up here. This is still too much here. I'll have to take it back. Very, very energetic branches, these. So hopefully they will back bud. That's my space recreated. It's still a bit long. That's not going to back bud. Take it off. That's better. That's better. We might have some living creatures on here. Right, all that's left to do is just get round the back of this apex and make sure there's no bits sticking backwards that I can't see from the front. God, that's heavy. Right, what have we got then? Got a strong lead there. Try and get him to go back. An apex lost there. I won't be able to take too much off of this. I'll try and get that one to go back. It still leaves 1 bud on that little branch. This little branch is Not a happy bunny. He started to shoot out sideways and then decided to keel over, just leaving that two tiny little pieces. Well, I'm going to take the risk of leaving one and trimming one and see what it does. Can always have another go later in the year. That's it. That's all I need to do. Right, back round to the front bit, and then we'll have a go at the shari. I'm just going to have a little break now because I need a wee. Finish me coffee, and then we'll get the stuff out. I'll get rid of all these branches and stuff. Okay, let's have a go with this then. The smell from this is absolutely revolting. If you can think back to school children days, people used to play pranks and drop stink bombs in the hall when you were having your assembly and everybody had to vacate the premises because the smell was so revolting. That's exactly what this smells like. It's sulfur, so it smells like bad eggs, and it's not nice stuff to be avoided getting on the skin, and it struth straight up my nostrils. And the idea is to have it roughly half and half with water, or as near as, damn it. Let's get the lid back on. That is evil. It's never normally that bad, but then I'm normally doing this outside. Now the idea is that we coat all of that bare wood with the sulfur, and it will turn bright yellow, and it looks horrible. But as soon as it gets out in the sun, it will bleach the wood and turn it a lovely, nice, silvery white, and it looks gorgeous. So it's well worth doing. But that's not its real purpose. Its real purpose is it acts as a wood preserver. That's imperative when you've got bare wood with no bark on it, because if you don't put any preserver of any shape or form on your wood, it will gradually disintegrate and rot. So this forms quite an important function, and probably take a couple of weeks for the sun, if we get any, to bleach this back again, but I'll show you the results later. Make sure we don't miss any. As I said, this is a preservative, or it acts as a preservative, and so it's performing something quite important. So we don't miss any bits. We make sure we get every bit of bare wood, all in the cracks, all in the crevices. You can see it soaking into the wood. That means it's going to do its job. Grab that little bit there. I nicknamed this plant Lightning Strike, because often with bonsai people create little names for their trees that has some meaning to them personally, and looking at some of the pictures of people collecting bonsai in the mountains basically, where these things are hanging on for dear life in little rock crevices with virtually no soil, and little trees 2 or 3 feet tall can be hundreds of years old, and they're never going to grow any bigger. They're totally dwarfed by the harsh conditions, but they hang on, and they form natural bonsai because the weather beats them to pieces, breaks branches off, and structures them in an incredibly natural way. And if you can get hold of those sorts of plants, you've got something quite special. But you can also attempt to recreate, not the conditions, but recreate the look, which is what this tree and me are attempting to do. We're attempting to give it the look that it's been hanging off a mountain, and it's had some severe damage, either an animal's got at it or some lightning hit it and took the side of the tree right off, which is what I think it looks like. You know, it really does look like lightning has come down through here and earthed and just taken the whole side of that tree off, and a couple of branches that were there just got cut to pieces. So that's so I nicknamed this one Lightning Strike, as opposed to hit by a tractor, which is what really happened. Well, not a tractor as such, but forest vehicles, the vehicles they use for dragging the fallen and cut trees down. Forest needs to be maintained to keep it open, so when trees get too close together or too big, or you know, get knocked down by storms, then they need clearing up. Keep the forest with some openness. Right, all you pongy stuff. Right, that's it. Were there any others sticking out? Nope. That's it. So that will get washed up, and as I said, that will dry a yellowy colour, and then the sun will bleach that bare wood a nice silvery white colour, and it looks very natural when it does that. So that's the pruning done on this. I've recreated some open space here and here, and my back branch drops down nicely and leads your eye. This bit needs to bush up a bit because that's quite an important part of the tree there, and then the apex will just do its own thing. That I know is going to bush up because that's where the strength of the tree is trying to get, and by stopping most of those leads dead in their tracks, some of that's going to now spread out through the rest of the tree and try and put a bit more vigour into these lower branches, especially this hanging back branch there. So that's it, that's that one done. As I said, it needs a repot desperately. I think this is the one that's been in its pot the longest. This was one of the first trees I ever collected. That's got to be nearly 10 years. It's 9 or 10 years ago, and that's how long that thing's been in that pot. It desperately needs to come out. But I just want to see these buds moving a bit more, make sure the sap has risen properly out of its you know, winter quarters in the pot and got up into the branches, and at that point disturbing the roots will have far less an effect, and it should reinvigorate the tree by trimming some roots and getting it in some new media. Very, very gritty media for conifers. They do not like to stay wet, so very fast draining. So that's that one done. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed that. I know I'm getting some bonsai viewers now with the separate sort of, well, partially subset of videos, but I notice quite a few of the orchid people are still watching them and getting something out of them. But it's just a little sidetrack for me. I haven't got many bonsai, and those I've got have been neglected badly, and this year I'm going to try and pull them back and reinvigorate them and get them into better shape. Okay, thanks for dropping by. See you next time.